Hey everybody, Richard S. back with another video. This is a thread response to James Griffiths' recent video on CDs that we own but we don't have on vinyl. Either classic CDs or favorite albums or what have you. Um, I wanted to jump in on this one after watching Embryonic Vinyl and Embryonic Robot Brian's video because it really got me thinking. It's like, you know what? I have a number of these that kind of fit the bill. So I found 10. I probably could have found 20, but you know how it is. Why don't I have these on vinyl? Either finding them is really tricky, or I don't know, maybe I just haven't committed to hunting them down enough. Usually it's just they're really expensive, bottom line. So the first one would be the classic from The Laws. 80s, I believe, 90s. Can't remember. All I know is that this came out last year, I think, for UK's National Album Day and was not available anywhere in the United States that I could find it, online or otherwise. I mean, I can hunt it down, but great album. The classic off of this, There She Goes, but that's almost my least favorite track on the whole album. The CD is nice because it has a lot of bonus tracks and a double album. So, would I be remiss to have it on vinyl? I don't know. The CD is definitely good, but it would be one I would love to find on vinyl. Almost anything from Throwing Muses is fairly elusive on vinyl, especially now. A lot of it hasn't been reissued. This is the real Ramona, and I would put House Tornado up there with another one I would love to find on vinyl. Super album. I loved, the sort of edgy, keening discordance of what Throwing Muses were doing. Fell in love with them when that Lonely as Eyesore comp came out on vinyl, and that song Fish just had me wowed. I was like, I have to look into more of Throwing Muses. Ended up getting a lot of it on CD, but kind of tricky to find a lot of it on vinyl. Another album, this is a little obscure maybe for some of us. This is Owl John. Owl John is a solo project from Scott Hutchison, who was the lead of Frightened Rabbit, a Scottish band from the mid 2000s. Scott sadly took his life in 2016, and this was kind of like one of the last projects. This came out in 2014. Frightened Rabbit did one more album afterwards, and then he was gone. I would love to find this on vinyl. It is very good. Very introspective type of album. A lot of Frightened Rabbit's material had that sort of darkness to it, that felt heavy but light at the same time, if that makes any sense. It was on vinyl. I think it hasn't gotten a reissue since it first came out, so copies of it are pretty on the expensive side when they do come up on, say, Discogs. A lot of us are familiar with This Heat. This is Deceit, their album from 1981. It was actually remarkable to me when I discovered this how old this album is. Very post-punk, sort of krautrock meets art rock, in very weird and interesting ways. I do have the CD box set reissue of these that has a lot of their other albums. But finding this on vinyl is tricky, and when it does come out, if it gets reissued, it's gone like that. I'm sure I could probably find that on Discogs, but then money. It's all about money. That's why we love our hobby, right? Some of my UK friends might be familiar with the music. Early 2000s band, kind of trippy, dancey in a way. Had really amazing circular guitar references and very trippy songs. It's the only way to describe it. This is their debut album that had like Take the Long Road and Walk It. If you have heard that song, I got lucky to see them on the Lollapalooza 2003 and managed to meet them. They were doing like a little signing, so they signed my ticket. Thank you guys. Way back when. I just remember it was a fairly hottish day out in Denver. And they did it after their set, they looked really tired and kind of like, yeah, well, okay, yeah, I'll sign this. So it was nice to meet them. I also got the luck of the draw to see them in concert when I went to London several years later on their next album, which was Welcome to the North. And I saw them at the Hammersmith Palais before it closed forever. So a little bit of history, but this album is so hard to find on vinyl. Never reissued. Only one edition that I have seen even reference being available. Sells for well over $200 a copy. So one day, who knows? It's also the most ungoogleable band ever. Try it. The music vinyl, and you will get a million hits. Chickenfoot. Sammy Hagar's long been a person of interest in my music collection, and Chickenfoot was his band with Joe Citriani, Chad Smith, Michael Anthony, and he. Fantastic. I saw this tour 2009? Yep, here in Denver. Came this close to meeting him, but they got whisked away into a car and off they went. Copies. I don't think this had been reissued since it first came out, and back then. And yeah, pretty expensive to find on vinyl. Great album, rocks your socks off. I got into Close Lobsters. I remember some of their videos showing up on like 120 Minutes back in the day. Their album called Foxhead Stalked This Land is part of this triple CD edition that came out in the 2015, the Fire Records. But this band's from the 80s, but awesome, just indie rock. And Foxhead's such a great album. I would love to have it on vinyl. Not inobtainable, but it's also one of those bands where it's like, I have the CD, and how badly do I really want it on vinyl? It would be nice, but I'm going to give you a twofer for my number 8 and number 9, and they're both Feeder. So Feeder is, and they're still around, a UK band, Welsh actually. So Feeder's first album was called Polythene. Came out in the late 90s. The CD was issued in America. I got this one here in the States, but most of their stuff was only released in the UK. So I've had a heck of a time just finding CDs. Lately, I've been able to get more of their vinyl over the years. But between Polythene and their Echo Park album, which is my absolute favorite just for the song Buck Rogers, OMG, these have not been reissued on vinyl since their initial run. I wish they'd do a box set and just put them all together and take my money, please. But yeah, Feeder, huge fan, and getting their stuff on vinyl is tricky. Last one is an album that Brian said he had on vinyl, but had very little of the other material from this band. And it's the Beatles, Naked. Let It Be Naked. Yeah, I do not have this on vinyl. I missed out whenever I remember it coming out on vinyl, and everybody was like, ooh, ah, and I was like, yeah. Now I'm wishing I picked it up. So, great album. I don't know if I could say I prefer this edition. I like it. I like the comparison between the initial and this one too. So there are 10 albums that I have on CD. I could add a few others, but things like Public Image Limited's Metal Box and the Metal 10, I would love one of those. I even missed out on that reissue, and I would have been happy with that. But I have the original second edition American version of it. Do I need both? No. I'm getting older. I'm trying to get a little bit more making more sense of what I buy on vinyl. But anyway, that'll do it for this thread. James loved this idea. This was a fun one. And Brian, thanks for kind of pushing me into the right direction to take this on. So, all right, we'll take care and we will talk to you all soon. Thanks. Bye.